ANVA's Law Enforcement Standing Committee has been hard at work on several projects and initiatives this year. The Facial Recognition Working Group has just released a best practices guide for jurisdictions to capture, review, and share facial images, and to improve investigations if fraud is suspected. Attendees at the annual international conference can attend a session to learn more about the document and can pick up a copy for themselves at the ANVA booth in the exhibit hall. And the Ignition Interlock Working Group has also just released a best practices guide that will help jurisdictions improve current Ignition Interlock programs and provide a blueprint for the creation of new programs. The guide is an off-the-shelf solution for agencies tasked with implementing and administering Ignition Interlock programs. The package also includes a training video to educate officers on how to most effectively interact with drivers of Ignition Interlock-equipped vehicles during roadside encounters. The Ignition Interlock Program Best Practices Guide will be a hot topic at this year's annual international conference. Copies of the guide will be available for attendees at the ANVA booth. The External Fraud Working Group, a group jointly sponsored by all of the ANVA standing committees, has released the best practices for the deterrence and detection of fraud, a resource for jurisdictions to use in the fight against fraud. The document was combined with the previously published Internal Fraud Best Practices to provide a comprehensive document that addresses both internal and external fraud. In addition to presenting ways to deter and detect fraud, the document gives background on different types of fraud and the psychology of those who seek to perpetrate fraud. It also discusses the impact fraud can have on national security and highway safety, as well as the personal impact identity theft can have on the customers that DMVs serve. Looking ahead, the Law Enforcement Standing Committee is hard at work on new resources for the ANVA community. The NMVTIS Law Enforcement Working Group is working to expand awareness of NMVTIS in the law enforcement community and improve law enforcement's use of NMVTIS in their investigations, fighting vehicle fraud, title fraud, and other illegal activities. The Law Enforcement Standing Committee continues to focus on keeping the law enforcement community strongly engaged in ANVA activities, with a firm belief that both law enforcement and motor vehicle administrations benefit from that cross-discipline engagement. One good example of this engagement continues to be law enforcement attendance at the annual international conference. The Law Enforcement Standing Committee has a lot to be proud of and is looking forward to even more accomplishments up ahead.